Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Morgan Renee tuning in for another reading of Trying to Sleep in the Bed You Made for story time with more of my. We're in chapter 15. I got sleepy, and so we halfway through the chapter. So I'm gonna pick back up where I left off at the end of this chapter. At the middle of this chapter. So far, let me give a review if I can. Thank Pat. We just gonna see. We're just gonna read. So the last paragraph said, after lunch, the driver arrived. They showed him the locations and mapped out their shots for the next day. On day 2, snow squalls kept the crew grounded in the lodge all morning. Periodically, the pilot checked in, but the news wasn't encouraging. Even if the snow stops, the wind's got to pipe down before we can fly. Swell. I don't have time for this. Bad weather wasn't on her schedule. With each passing minute, Pat's internal mainspring wound tighter, so before it snapped, she went to her room to phone the office. The tasty account exec bounced off the wall when Pat told him about the delay. I should be there. Like your presence would change the freaking weather, Pat said. Oh, these are her inside thoughts when it's in italics. Like your presence would have changed the freaking weather. Pat said she'd be in touch. Pat's assistant had casting info on the jocks for Sports Quencher, but Creative wasn't satisfied they had come up with the right ones to pitch, so they were still looking. Chris had the serious skinny. I don't know if Althea did you in or not, but Zabriskie announced the new group head, and it wasn't you. Pat hung up and lay face down across her bed, feeling like she'd been kicked in the guts with steel-toed boots. I can just see Althea gloating. The storm still swirled at 3 in the afternoon, and Pat reluctantly called the day. Snow and blustery wind continued the next day. A wind carnival atmosphere prevailed, but Pat wasn't festive. She saw her budget rise with each falling flake, and there wasn't a thing she could do but wait. After lunch, she toyed with calling the shoot and heading back to New York, the next scheduled location. She had permits, insurance, location, vans, the works booked for Sunday, but at the rate they were going, they wouldn't make it. It didn't make dollars or cents to bring everybody back to Alaska either, so she called her assistant back to have him reschedule the New York date, then went looking for the director to discuss the possibility of her going directly from Alaska to New Mexico to prep the full moon in the desert shot. The next morning, the sun finally sparkled and the clean, crisp air tingled in Pat's lungs. The crew plane landed safely on the plateau, but snow had drifted waist deep in places, and finding a spot for the head-on shot was exasperating. They got some film, but no one felt they had the shot. Pat decided to proceed with the aerial shots the following day. Radio communication between the car and the helicopter faded in and out, so progress was slow, and Pat felt as if she'd been cold for a month. When they finished the aerial work, they scouted for another location to reshoot the head-on view. They found a plateau at a higher elevation, and Pat decided they'd do it again in the morning. If I'm going to be late, the film's got to be great. The snow on the new bluff was light and powdery, and the angle of the sun created less glare. The director was able to catch the snow flying off the car and make it look electrified. Pat knew this was a winner. On the return trip, the 2-hour layover in Seattle until her New York flight made Pat restless. I should have been in the office today. Alone in the executive club, she sipped coffee, smoked, and stared absent-mindedly as another plane raced down the runway and nosed into the sky. Pat worried about making up the lost time, keeping her numbers down. It had all spun out of control, and she had to keep a tight rein from here on. When this commercial is in the can, I'll make an appointment with Zabriskie, get his take on my situation. After Sweet Mountain Air, the conditioned stuff felt suffocating. I don't know what the hell else they expect from me, but she planned to find out so she could double it. Unable to thumb through another magazine, she marched past the receptionist. Will you be back, Miss Reed? Yes, just stretching my legs. Pat exited into the buzz of the main terminal, past newsstands and cocktail lounges, then wandered outside for some fresh air. A family with a mom, dad, 3 kids, and a sizable stack of luggage piled out of an aged station wagon. If that's not Mr. and Mrs. America, I don't know who is. And next year, after they see my spots, they'll be climbing out of an adventurer. Dad pulled off to find parking, and a maroon Jaguar replaced it at the curb. Pat's eye involuntarily traced the car's sleeping exterior. Damn, that's pretty. One day. Dad pulled off to find... Wait a minute. The driver's door opened. Pat noticed the woman's perfectly coiffed page boy first. No natural force would move a hair out of place. Her azure blue suit complemented her nutmeg skin and drew Pat's eye. Good TV color. Executive, but not good TV color. Executive, but not mannish. Mom, look, it's the TV news lady. The little boy pointed with his cast. Shh, and don't point. It's rude, his mother cautioned. Sky caps hunched each other and nodded toward the local celebrity. Newscaster. Bingo. Pat flicked her cigarette into the street, checked her watch, decided to go back inside. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw the brim of a Panama hat dip below the open trunk of the Jag. Just before she walked through the automatic doors, the boys squealed. Look, Mom, it's Marcus Carter. It can't be. Pat wasn't prepared to add Marcus to today's already full plate. She turned to investigate. Yeah, it's him. For the briefest instant, she could feel the blood pounding in the veins of her temples. Too much damn coffee. The boy wriggled free of Mom and bounced like a Spalding in front of Marcus, pleading for an autograph. Marcus ruffled the kid's hair, reached in his blazer pocket for a pen, and signed his cast before Mom claimed him. He looks like $1 million. Marcus stood tall and broad like an onyx moment, but more than he exuded a major league presence. Pat watched people stop what they were doing and stare. He turned his attention back to his companion, pulling her to him, whispering in her ear. When he kissed her, he tugged her bottom lip just enough to show they shared more than dinner. She giggled behind her hand and gazed wistfully into his eyes. Then he helped her behind the wheel, closed the door, and she drove off. Pat fished in her pocket, put a cigarette to her lips, flicked the lighter. Looks like Mr. Carter has a long-distance thing. She noticed the bitter, burning smell first. Then the tiny flame at the tip confirmed she had lit the filter. Damn. She dropped it and ground it to tobacco dust with her shoe. A skycap approached Marcus, who had only a garment bag slung over his shoulder. Man, can I just shake your hand? Marcus grinned and obliged, and the skycap walked back to his post with his chest poked out like Marcus had done him proud. Pat heard people murmur his name or just cat in the hat. Marcus wore a cocky, yeah, I know I'm bad expression. Then he walked right by Pat into the terminal. Speak? Don't speak? Did her heads or tails flip-flop in her mind before her mature adulthood got the better of her? Hands on hips, she called in a low voice, Marcus Garvey Carter. Maybe a hitch in his step, but he kept walking like he hadn't heard. She followed inside and caught up next to him. Marcus Garvey Carter, you gonna egg me? He stopped, cocked his head in her direction, but nothing registered. Then, holy smokes. Patricia? Is that you calling me by my whole name? For a split second, he looked like he'd seen the ghost of Christmas past, but he played it off smoothly. I thought it might get your attention since every damn body calls your name. Despite her pumps, Marcus towered over her. She eyed the slim gold hoop in his left ear. Well, I damn sure wouldn't recognize you since you got all fly. He leaned like he couldn't decide whether to kiss her or shake hands, but a group of swaggering, almost men toting duffel bags walked by, and one called out, Hey, Cat, you kicked Mary in the ass last night, but you all right. He straightened, pointed, and nodded, then turned back to Pat. You like all that? Pat fell in beside him, and they continued through the terminal. Can't say as I mind. If they don't call my name, I'm not doing my job. He looked both ways along the concourse, like he was searching for the emergency exit. His easy manner with strangers seemed lost with an old friend. So, Seattle must be good to you. I'm passing through. Business. She noticed people check out their progress and felt uneasy with so many eyes following her. Looks like you got ties here, though. Marcus looked puzzled. Miss Jaguar Newscaster? A recent acquaintance. My free agent status means I can explore all the options. Uh-huh. For several steps, she couldn't think of what to say. I talk to strangers all the time. Why is it so hard? So, your mom and dad, they still in St. Albans? It was like the mention of the neighborhood triggered the emergency warning system in Marcus' head. I got him a place in North Carolina, Pamlico Sound. Dad likes to fish. Everybody always talking about North Carolina, because North Carolina is it. It's popping, and everybody know it. I got him a place in North Carolina, Pamlico Sound. Dad likes to fish. Marcus stiffened, started looking around the terminal. Well, it was good seeing you. Keep on keeping on. He looked past her eyes, patted her shoulder, and bailed out. Yeah, you too, she said to his back as he glided away. I'll be damned. This felt worse than their last party. Now it was like they were complete strangers. Screw him then. When she got back to the lounge, the receptionist whispered, You know Marcus Carter, the baseball player? She pointed towards the bar. He's in there. She meant to go back to her seat by the windows, but her feet took her to the mauve and mirrored bar. A clutch of men in single-breasted corporate uniforms hovered around Marcus, obviously thrilled to be a genuine sports star. Everybody eats this up. She perched on a stool at the far end, ordered a gimlet, and listened to the hero worship. No, I don't wear the series ring when I travel. Gets in the way. Besides, that's old. I'm hunting for some new jewelry, even if I have to go to another team to get it. The men laughed and continued to grill him. A few asked for autographs for their kids, they said. When the boarding announcement came for her flight, Pat saw Marcus stand, reach into his pocket, and throw a bill on the bar. Gentlemen, that's my plan. Pat hung back. Part of her was riled up and wanted to confront him, asked why he had left her like she had to play, but what was the point? One encounter was enough, and she watched Marcus swagger out, looking like he expected to be noticed, and, if she wasn't mistaken, the chip was on the shoulder opposite his carry-on. Marcus was already basking in the attention of a knot of flight attendants in the first class when Pat boarded. She had to slide by them to get to her seat in business class. He never saw her. They act like it's the second coming. He's just a damn jock. After they landed, Pat told herself to ignore him, but on the ground in New York, she still kept Marcus in view. In baggage claim, a woman with legs up to her armpits, wearing a leopard print catsuit that scooped to her waist and back and fit her skin everywhere else, caught sight of Marcus. She tossed her mane of ebony ringlets like the star of music video, licked her lip, and pounced. Marcus folded the leopardess into his arms, whispered in her ear, kissed her lips. Same shit, different dame. He's a star after all. Pat got a better look at her and realized it was Tia, the model whose feline features graced the cover of every other magazine on the newsstands. Pat headed toward the taxi line, pretending she was not annoyed as she watched Marcus escort Tia to a waiting limo. In the morning, jet-lagged and generally pissed off, Pat stormed around the office like Bigfoot. She went over mail and memos, including the official group head announcement, choking back the acid burn in her throat with coffee and a cruller. She checked on the progress in New Mexico, went over the grocery list of athletes her assistant had compiled, then dropped in on Giles. That Tour de France guy is okay, but bike racing is not exactly burning down the house in the States. There's still nobody who gives me goosebumps, he grumbled. Tell me again what you're looking for? She perched at his drawing board and doodled swirls on a sketch pad while she listened. Giles rocked back in his desk chair and closed his eyes. I want a hunk with attitude, big but not stupid. He needs personality and untamed commercial potential because the client won't scream for an established name. But he's got to ooze that sweaty, sexy, arrogant thing. Don't even think it, Patricia. Let me do a bit more research and get back to you. Pat plastered on a smile, went to congratulate the new group head, and smoked like a forest fire while he packed to move out of his old office and rub salt in her wounds. She called out for lunch, listened to some voiceover tapes, but no matter how she tried to avoid it, Giles seemed to be spelling M-A-R-C-U-S. There's got to be somebody else. Every time she relived their airport rendezvous, she got madder. He should have just kept walking when I called him, even though he wouldn't treat one of his beloved fans like that. But that was his business, and if Marcus was the answer to the tasty riddle, she had to pursue it because her feelings didn't put 2 cents in her wallet, and it was her job to keep the client happy. Perched on the corner of Giles' desk, Pat folded her arms. So, how about a big, chiseled, home run hitting baseball player? World Series ring, single, viral, no scandals I know about. He's got an edge like a razor blade, a good voice, and he appeals to a wide cross-section of ages, socio-economic levels, genders, races. I've seen it with my own eyes, and no prior product commitments to my knowledge. I'm salivating. I wish he played football or basketball, more sweat. But if he's active off the field, that'll help. Against her better judgment, Pat said she'd have her assistant make inquiries about Marcus's agent and his going rate and marched along the hushed halls toward her office. Pat, I'm glad I ran into you. Lloyd Zabriski's shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows, appeared behind her. I was going to call you this afternoon. We need to talk. He took a pull from the slim cigar he held between his fingers. Great. I can hear the shit he's going to sell me about how being a bridesmaid is an honor and maybe next time I'll be the bride. At least I can get this over with. She followed him to his office, making small talk about the vast Alaskan wilderness. He motioned her to the couch in the sitting area that overlooked St. Patrick's and buzzed his secretary to bring in coffee. Oh, this is going to be a marathon. Pat, you're one of the best hires we made since I've been with this agency. Here it comes, the horse manure du jour. And we did a lot of very hard thinking when we made our choice for group head. But it wasn't you. So this is how you can break your ass and impress us next time. She crossed her legs and waited for him to get beyond the apology to the meat of the matter. I don't have to tell you the economy took a nosedive last year. Some of our accountants have been hit below the belt, and that means we say ouch. To stay ahead, we've got to make some changes. He took a pull on the cigar, frowned. What the hell is he saying? He can't be firing me. The smell of the smoke and the thought of unemployment made her dizzy. The thing I hear most from clients now is, Lloyd, can you save us some money? The hair on Pat's arm stood up. Not getting the promotion was one thing, but being escorted out the door, that couldn't be happening. She wanted to drag the words out of him. As you know, the more we keep production costs down, the more money the client has for his media buys, which is where we make the real money. Are you with me? Absolutely. Get to the damn point. What I'm saying is we've created a new position, Senior Broadcast Resources. Sorry, y'all, my bike fell. What I'm saying is we've created a new position, Senior Broadcast Resources Director. As far as we know, we're the first agency to take this approach. The position answers directly to the VP head of broadcast, so it's at least on par with group head. Pat steadied her hands on the cushions to keep from falling off the sofa. This person would oversee production and creative with regard to budget. Now, you and I both know that for most of this decade, the more of the client's money we spent, the more they liked it. Kind of a badge of honor. That thinking won't fly now. Our idea is to keep production costs in hand while ensuring their quality we're known for. That person would catch hell from all sides, Lloyd. Producers, group heads, creative. Nobody likes a watchdog. Pat shifted anxiously. You've been extremely successful at holding down costs and producing a quality product. I expect some resistance at first, but be assured, we think you can handle it, and we have your back on this. Are you interested? Yes. She wanted to shout, but I can't sit here with a shit-eating grin on my face. Be dignified. I'm honored. This job will be hell. Everybody will hate me, but it's a big promotion. Damn, it's a huge promotion. Tough shit on whoever doesn't like it. When do I start? Pat was so happy it almost hurt. They discussed salary, which put her above group head by a healthy margin, maybe enough for my Jaguar. The promotion was effective immediately, but she would complete any projects she had in progress. And since Pat was on her way out of town, Zabriskie called a meeting for later that afternoon to make the announcement. Pat went to lunch with Zabriskie and Ted Gravitt, which raised many eyebrows at the elevator. She sailed smoothly through the meal, giving Zabriskie suggestions for where he should stay in Paris this October when he took his wife to celebrate their 20th anniversary. Gravitt peppered her with questions about what his daughter could expect in September, her first semester at Southridge. All the while, she really wanted to get back to the office and phone Minnie Littlefield to say hello, and by the way, find out when Illumination Night will be this summer, since she might be able to squeeze a few days on the vineyard in August and get herself invited to a certain barbecue at Hughes' house. Stunned murmurs ricocheted around the rubber room with the introduction of the new Senior Broadcast Resource Director. She received cordial congratulations from the producers, group heads, and creatives who would be subjected to her scrutiny. Althea, green as a sour grape, left as soon as the meeting was adjourned. Zabriskie also announced that Chris Parker would take over Pat's position. Congratulations to us. Chris clicked Pat's champagne cup. Glad they kicked you upstairs. I think I like my spot better, though. You get to cut everybody's goodies. Make us stay at Fleabag Motels. At least I'll still have friends. Alright, so that's the end of chapter 15. I'll check in with you guys again soon. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.